course, cost of so many items out there, very, very concerning. And, well, it's interesting to note that the president, in his meeting with newspaper proprietors, did say, look, I care about what is going on in the country. Then he says that at the moment that they're working towards ensuring that they grant waivers, transport waivers to operators in the air, road, and rail transportation system. So perhaps that might have been what informed some of those headlines we saw about aviation, subsidy in all of those other areas. So, but yes, indeed, those are some of the effects of some of the policies that government has taken about the economy. So it will be very interesting. As a matter of fact, I know that, yes, well-intended, but they should have kicked in a while ago, actually. Then such that, because several people already felt the pinch in their pocket as they had no choice. They had to make the trip. And several others they canceled their plans because they can't make the trip owing to some of the costs, transportation costs, as a matter of fact, because, look, that is incredibly important because it links several arteries, several things. The business, the movement is huge. So where the country doesn't have that functional transportation system, it will be a challenge. It will affect the prices of food. It almost affects everything. So when we talk about coming up with CNG, and that's why we keep asking, these states that say they've bought buses, they've done some of these things, what method, what transport system exists in those states such that it's not a one-off? Because we've seen this before. They bought buses before. I mean, here in Abuja, when I came through, what people kept on seeing on the streets, the buses are available, the few ones they see are the ones bought by former Minister FCT, El Rufai. And it was just a few of them that were on the road at the time. So what do we have? It's not about just trunking the whole space with those buses. There has to be a plan. There has to be a method to the madness. You have to ensure that if we bring in CNG, if we bring in some of these things, it will stand the test of time. And so, yes, good to hear that he says, look, he reads every paper, he hears the criticisms and all of those things. Good. So we have to bring them on. Keep them coming. So all those supporters and hangers-on who think otherwise when some of this has come through, you heard it from the man himself. So what's your problem if he says, we want this country to be better. So you should know better now when some of this has come through. It is to move the country forward. And don't forget, it's Christmas. We should feel it.
Indeed. I mean, I certainly cannot, never mind my colors. I certainly cannot, say that people shouldn't feel Christmas. They need to feel it in every way. They need to feel it more in their pockets. I mean, I am very aware of families whose plans have changed as a result of just the cost of transport. Oh, yeah. It is quite telling. And it is a significant cost. I know how things have, when you look at what you spent last year versus what you're going to spend this year, in this same season, I know how transportation costs have adversely affected the calculations of many families. And when you look at the fact that, earnings haven't really gone up from last year to this year, some people have been fortunate. Those who work in, pretty decent companies, some of them have been thoughtful enough to adjust wages. But in many places, this wage adjustment hasn't happened at all. And even in places where it has happened, it's not exactly commensurate with how inflation has been going, but at least half bread, as they say, is better than none.
Or chin-chin.
Nigeria says chin-chin. Half bread is better than chin-chin or puff-puff. But this Christmas, I don't know which one you'll get to eat. You'll be fortunate to get bread or get puff-puff or chin-chin at this rate. I'm looking at some of the dailies this morning. I mean, I did see that meeting the president had with NPAN and the fact that, he spoke about press freedom. Yeah. Sometimes when the president speaks, you have to ask whether his aides are also listening. Yeah. Can they hear very clearly what it is that he's saying? But if there's anything, that people know, looking at how the president himself has related with the press over the years, They know that he's been somebody who's been pretty free with the press. So he himself being a proprietor of sorts, I don't know whether, I imagine that he's already relinquished that role, given the fact that he's now into politics. I mean, full-time and as president of the country. But, I mean, he's had that relationship with the press. So it'll be interesting to see, to be sure that, you know, it's early days yet. It's just how many months into his administration. I hope that there will not be incidences where, you know, papers will be confiscated or where, you know, broadcast houses will come under pressure. I think that promise of his to, you know, ensure that there's freedom of the press. But beyond that, I think that because essentially what the press does is be a medium of engagement between himself and the people, between the governed and those who are governing, like himself. I also mean other people who are in his stead, like governors and co. So let us hope that we will see a more robust engagement. Yeah. It's not just through forums like this, but that there will be deliberate, intentional engagement with the media as cross
board.
Yes, as a way of reaching the Nigerian people, because this is a recession. It is extremely important that the people are carried on. People need to know that they're getting heard. The Nigerian masses need to know that whoever it is at the helm of affairs, whether or not they voted for the president, whether or not they voted for a governor, you know, the person understands the work that needs to be done, is doing the work, and is communicating with them. Because it's possible that you're cooking some beans. It takes a very long time to cook, unless you're using a pressure cooker. But right now, I think we need to be deploying a pressure cooker, because what the country needs to get fixed in many areas. Is it in the area of transportation, as you've highlighted? Is it in the area of electricity, the economy? There's so many areas that need fixing. Is it in the area of health? You know, we need to know what is being done. So we hope that there will be a robust engagement, that there will not be any shying away from the media, but that those who are in positions of authority will see an engagement with the media, not as a place to come and get criticized. And if you get criticized, well, that's what the kitchen is about. It gets hot there. But as a place to also, you know, express what it is that they're doing, if they're doing anything, and to also reassure the Nigerian people that they're getting heard, and to communicate their plans as well. So let us hope that the president's tone will set the template, not just for himself and his aides, but also for the people who are also governing at the subnational levels. Ayo and Bukola.
Well, you know, brilliantly articulated, Markwe. Yeah, communication is key, and we appreciate the president's liberal disposition towards the press. He said that, you know, whether it's adversarial, whether it's favorable, the president will operate a sort of open door policy. And, you know, Chamberlain has also laid out, you know, what should be processed by the president, and particularly his handlers at this point in time, you know, which is part of what the president referred to during that engagement with NPAN, and that's transportation, you know. And whether it's the time of Shopee, or if you look closer to some states, you remember that there had been some, you know, transportation arrangements to cushion the effect of increase in the pump price of petrol. But really, what's the heart of the matter is sustainability. Where are those buses, you know, from the time of Shopee? Where are the Connect buses that we had some time back in Lagos? They're nowhere to be found. And we know that this is a system closest to the people that can make life a bit more comfortable amid the continuing increase in the pump price of petrol that we've been talking about for decades. So we would like, you know, beyond the promises that the president has made, that these promises are processed and they're implemented. So what's the plan, you know, for the CNG buses when they eventually arrive? If the ministries of transportation across the states of the federation or the federal ministry cannot handle them in a sustainable manner, you know, what's the plan for engagement with the private sector such that, you know, this transportation system that would ease the effect of the pump price of petrol on the masses, what's the plan that it will be sustainable? Will they be leased out to the private sector to manage? Because we know, we've said it over and over again, that it's a Herculean task, or it's an elephant project when government is oftentimes left to manage any form of business, so to speak. So we hope that the president and their handlers are processing these feedback that is coming from the media. And also what's instructive, at this point in time is the promised increase in wage award. We heard Sano speaking yesterday, and particularly after government has decided that they would, ease out the university system, university workers from IPs. So what's going to happen to them if they've been left out of the wage award? Sano was speaking yesterday and asking, for the policy to be implemented, to come to their workers as well. So these are some of the issues. It's not just enough for the president to say, okay, that, that we're going to be favorably disposed to any form of engagement from the media, whether it's criticism or, positive reportage. But it's more important that the policies, that the media is helping the government, to look constructively at, they are processed in such a manner that, the masses, are carried along and the masses profit from the policies. These are some of the important things that the administration should begin to look at, particularly during this Yuletide, where so many people do not have what it takes to celebrate. And, the administration should remember them at this point in time. Ayo, you might have one or two more things to add.
Well, I remember when the president was governor, one of the things that he did every month was to go on radio at least every month to engage with the people. We had interviewers in the studio with him, but then he would also take live on-screened calls from the Goshians. If that were to happen now, I wonder how that would go. Of course, we expect that, the media managers would find a way to help the president to manage that. Is that something that the president would be glad to do? Will his media managers allow him to do that? Because something, Malcolm, that you said is very, very instructive. Communication is one thing that will help to build trust. Whether we agree with you or not, as the president said, you have held our feet to the fire. We will continue to respect your opinions, whether we agree or not. So whether we agree with the president or not, we want to hear him. Whether it is something that we want to hear or what we don't want to hear, at least let the president speak to us. Yes, I mean, it is also given that in recent time, the president has spoken a few more times than, one would have expected. And that's very, very gratifying. One of the things that has doused a lot of tension in the polity. Let's have more of that. Okay, for me, that's one of the most important things. And the fact that the president is making that commitment to media men is very instructive. Section 22 of the Constitution is at play here. The press, radio and television, and other agencies of the mass media shall at all times be free to uphold the fundamental objectives contained in this chapter, that's of the Constitution, and uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people. The next section is also instructive. The national ethics shall be discipline, integrity. Let me just stop there. There are a few others, but let me just stop there. Integrity. Without communication, we may not be able to find a place to trust government. I'm glad that the Minister of Information and National Orientation has also spoken about the fact that the trust deficit has waned over the years. To build it, communication, incessant, unfettered, unfiltered communication sometimes will help to build that trust. Chamberlain.
Well, yes, indeed, guys. And, that chapter 2, section 22 needs to be, I use the word institutionalized. Because, you get to different agencies, institutions, MDAs, and they act as though when the press shows up, the president enemy. When the press shows up, oh no, something is going to go wrong. Well, it's enshrined in the laws, but it's something we'll focus on a little later to ensure that highlighting this, it's there in the laws, the functions of the media. So we'll focus on that much later, guys. Let's move on now and take you through some of the dailies here this morning. And we will start with Nigerian News Direct here today. And look at the lead story. I won't allow businesses die on my watch. Tinubu. So, there are many angles to this. These are very, 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 very trying times. And much as there's a lot of talk about palliatives, which one thinks that it needs to be properly scrutinized, whether or not the president has to give the states the balance of the 3 billion remains with a huge question mark. What have they done with the previous one? So you gave those who have performed in a certain way. Who's assessing what yardstick will be deployed to do all of those? And then there was that matter, guys, where I think it was the Ministry of Trade or so that spoke about certain incentive that was going to be given to businesses. That means businesses to ensure that they also thrive. What is going on with that? What do they exactly want to achieve with that? So some of these policies you see are questions to all of those, but this is what is here. Hints on granting waiver to airline, road transport operators in festive season as newspaper proprietors seek tax waiver to cushion rising costs. So there you go. And it's good to also hear the Minister of Information did say to NBC, slash this licensing fees. Have to slash it to ensure that businesses have to first of all survive before you ever think about taxing. Don't go with that mindset and say, oh, grab it, tax them, which is what MDAs have in this country. From customs to almost everywhere you turn. The moment they see a banner or some shop coming up, they come in like ants to honey. That shouldn't be. You're not in competition with businesses. Your primary responsibility is to ensure that they survive first and foremost. That's why governments give them waivers, because if you shut them down, you close them, and then you push all those other people to the market, you have more problems for yourself as government. So I think you should think. Just think. Yeah. That's what we ask.
Government really needs to stop paying lip service to the existence of businesses, really. I mean, I think that when the president says it, I really hope that it's something that his lieutenants run with.
We need to see commensurate action.
And those in civil service also imbibe as a new mindset and as a culture. Sometimes, the mindset stops at the top. That's where it ends. The Guardian here is the one I'm holding for you, and it has this. Nigerians may burn over 1.5 trillion naira on cooking gas in 2024 amid incentives. Okay, so right now they're saying that we may burn in 2024. Yeah, just in case. Well, literally, because when you put on the gas, you're burning some fuel now, aren't you?
Oh dear.
That's literally your money up in flames. But thankfully, it's cooking some food for you to eat. Page 6 is where you see details. They have a breakdown. Nigerians spend 1.5 trillion on cooking gas using LPG. I think this is some good news, though. The fact that more and more people are beginning to use this product. We should be able to get this to the rural areas, to get people to be able to use this product even more.
The president also says they plan to reduce the cost
of that price of cooking gas. Yeah. Well, that certainly will be welcome, and it's a subsidy that will certainly be hitting the pocket of Nigerians directly. Price of cooking gas has risen by 165% since 2018. So, yes, they have been given tabs. 2018 is quite a while, though. This is 2023. But for it to have gone up 165%, lets you know just how much Nigerians have been paying. And they're showing you the average price of 1 kilogram of LPG. So when you feel that, is it 12 kilograms? I think that's what most people use, 12 kilograms. And you also have the lower ones, 8 kilograms, 6 kilograms. Now they even have, I think, even 1 kilogram. So you buy according to your pocket. So the average price for you from 2018 to 2023 used to be at 416 naira for 1 kilogram. Now it's at 1,100 naira to 1 kilogram of LPG. And they also show you who the local producers are. They have the NLNG, and then you also have, you know, when the NLNG is not producing as much, or maybe there are any variations, and the fact that we have to use other alternatives, it leads to deforestation. And they say that we have the highest rate of deforestation in the world at 3.7%. So it just looks like we're just hewing down our trees. We're just mowing them down, cutting them down for firewood. There's nobody who's monitoring. There's nobody who is regulating.
That's the thing.
How we're cutting down the trees and whether we're planting new ones. You know,
that is the thing.
Carbon credits that we could be getting, we're not getting. The environmental benefits of keeping our trees, we're not getting. And then we feel the environmental effect, the fact that desertification is occurring. You know, we're susceptible to floods, etc. Do not let me go into the woes of become an environmentalist this morning. But we all should be environmentalists, all of us, because it is our environment. And these are some of the effects. If cooking gas is unavailable, this is what happens. If people are unable to afford it, this is what happens. So The Guardian is where we should be looking at this morning, and the lead story right there, hitting home just as it should. I also see here, LCCI raises concern on inflation crisis, charges CBN on new approach. And you also see that meeting, Tinubu meets newspaper proprietors, promises press freedom, others.
Promise press freedom. Press freedom is enshrined in the laws. So
it is.
It's not
I guess what he means is that we will not breach it. Or we will not, because it is enshrined in the law. But
and if you break the law, you don't.
Some people have been breaking the laws and not letting the press be free. Irrigation agriculture, experts recommend new land administration method. That's somewhere there. INEC plans reruns by elections for February 2024. It's a page 4 read. And Senate gives panels 48 hours to submit 2024 budget report. So that's also right there on the front page. Of course, they have a story on Port Harcourt for you, but I'll leave it there for the Guardian newspapers.
And look next at Daily Independent, which focuses on something entirely different this morning, but just as important as it affects a huge portion of the generality of Nigerians. Sack of CEOs, directors in one fell swoop puts aviation at risk. Recall last week that the Minister of Aviation had sacked the directors of most of the agencies in that sector. But take a look at the riders. The Daily Independent is following up on it this morning. Stakeholders fear over success of ICAO safety corrective plans, and Finger Nigeria Air project as reason for sector's mass purge. So my question is, were all of the directors complicit in the failed Nigeria Air project? Was there any investigation carried out? What about, leaders in the ministry from the last administration? Were they quizzed in what has led to the mass sack of the directors? I wonder if the details would provide more insight into these questions, that I'm asking this morning. But you find details on page 29 of Daily Independent.
Hopefully that will be the case. Excuse me, because institutional memory plays a role in development. And I think that is the concern that the Daily Independent is raising here on the story, with this story. Institutional memory in that sector means if there are people who are just coming in, and it was the same concern the former president of the Senate raised when he was saying, look, more than 50% of us are not returning to the National Assembly. That could slow down the process of lawmaking and all those things, because those who have institutional memory are now far fewer than those who are just coming in. So maybe that is what I hope that has been factored in by the minister. Yeah,
absolutely. But my own main concern is the fairness of the process. If leaders of the ministry, in the past administration, have questions to answer and they haven't answered them in this process, then they should be made to answer them such that, a handful do not suffer for the collective sins of everyone if there were sins committed. But we know that the Air Nigeria project, failed, and questions must be asked. There are a few more stories on the front page of Daily Independent. Right under the big story, Adamawa Guba Appeal Court upholds Fintiri's election, and there was a fine also awarded, in favor of the governor. Now, I think the court asked that the other party pay the plaintiff a fine. And right under that, you find this one. Tinubu assures newspaper proprietors of reviewing policies affecting industry. Besides the economy, the new technology is also affecting the newspaper industry. So there must be some deliberate policy making in that process to ensure that that arm of the mainstream media survives. And just a few more stories before we exit the front page of Daily Independent. This one will interest you. TRCN seeks power to prosecute unqualified teachers' institutions as 3,963 teachers fail professional qualifying exams. 3,963 teachers. So what were they teaching prior to this time? Let's leave it there for Daily Independent.
Can you give what you don't have? Look at the Nigerian Observer this morning. Actually, there's a very interesting story on the front page of the Daily Trust, but for the exigency of time. The Nigerian Observer this morning has this. INEC announces rerun elections in 34 constituencies for early 2024. Something in someone's head is probably asking, which are these 34 constituencies? Do they include River State? Check the details on the front page of the paper this morning. And, of course, right above the nameplate, COP28. Edo strengthens partnerships, recommits to sustainable environmental practices. That's also right there on the front page. It continues on page 6 of the paper. Subsidy removal. Over 2.3 million Edo residents benefit from Obasanjo's free bus scheme in 3 months. That's in Edo State. How about the 35 other states? That's the Nigerian Observer this morning.
All right, take a look at this Nigeria next. Tinubu resolves Rivers crisis. That's the lead story here. Fubara to recognize 27 defected lawmakers after meeting presidents. All impeachment proceedings against governor to be dropped. Lawmakers under Speaker Amewule will choose where to conduct legislative business. So you got to see all of that then. So Jakpa, Church Fund to repatriate Nigerian lecturers who absconded after sponsorship. Oh boy.
Church Fund to do what?
Repatriate Nigerian lecturers who absconded. Why would you do that?
A lack of integrity.
How would they feel when they come back to the country as a result of this? They still be trusted? Would they say, no, just come back here? But I don't know. The circumstances are understandable.
Were the funds given, though, were they given with that understanding? Was that part of the conditions under which they were given?
Clearly, because, they can't sponsor you for an event, you expect it to come back, you take off and you disappear.
And you never show up again, and then Nigeria is deprived of that.
No,
it's a good thing that we're also thinking of creative ways to, get to tax the countries that are not making the investment in the sectors that they're coming here to come and recruit for, especially in our healthcare sector. So maybe this will also be one of the things that we should also put into consideration. If our lecturers are going to work over there, then maybe what we should do is not tax or repatriate the lecturers. Maybe what we should do is tax the universities that they work for.
There you go. That's this Nigeria today.
New Telegraph also focuses on the Rivers crisis. You see there again, Tinubu brokers peace among Wike, Fubara, others, directs Rivers governor to withdraw court cases Represent budget to full house. Okay. How is that going to work? Well, represent the budget to the full house. Halt impeachment bid against governor, defectors. So literally, they're being forced to work together. Look at this one now. Tinubu to review policies affecting paper industry. And Jakba, why best brains leave Nigeria by a VC. You might want to know which VC is speaking. TRCN, 3,963 teachers fail qualifying exams. Cancels results of those engaged in malpractice. 6 fiats to prosecute erring institutions on qualified teachers. This is something we certainly can lend our weight to, because if teachers are supposed to be preparing the future generations, how can they prepare them when they themselves have cheated to get to where they are? Big question. And then you've also seen this earlier, INEC to conduct rerun polls in 34 constituencies in February. I know that Ayo likes me to look at the health story right there. I'm not trying to frighten anyone, but take a look at this. It says, eating late dinner might raise stroke risk. Oh. That's according to scientists.
Oh, boy.
Well, look, I know I also follow a number of people who will say, look, it has no effect. But I don't think it is right for you to go and eat and then go straight to bed. So if you do eat, sit up and, let the food digest properly, maybe for an hour or two before you eventually go to bed. Let's leave it there for New Telegraph.
Particularly when you're over 40 and, your metabolism drops. So just have to be careful about what you eat and how you eat.
We thought that life began at 40.
Right after that story.
We thought life began at 40. 40 is actually when you now begin to watch life. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Are you saying you want to throw caution to the wind?
No.
And are you over 40, by the way?
I'm just a sweet 16.
Okay, I'll just stick to the faith of that one, even though I know what the exact number is. Let's take a look next at the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And, of course, it trails on the Rivers crisis, which we hope has been resolved following this story. Wike Fubara signed accord as Tinubu brokers peace. Now, there are a host of riders here. How Tinubu, Odili, NSA, other stakeholders resolved face-off. Impeachment moves against Fubara dropped. All matters in court to be withdrawn. At least the courts can breathe now. I wonder how many civil matters are in our courts, and the ratio of civil matters to election-related matters and matters by politicians in our courts. Somebody was saying the other day on our station as well that, the lawyers should fish in other ponds.
Which ponds?
I quite agree. There must be other ponds for lawyers to fish in.
Those other ponds, the fish are far away.
Too many election matters. We can't count the number of times that INEC complains about frivolous matters brought to Nigerian courts by politicians. Well, let's move on. G27 leader Amewule recognized as speaker. Governor to represent 2024 budget to Assembly, remunerations, benefits of all lawmakers reinstated. And, some more riders are right there for that big story. But I'll leave you to do the rest later on when you pick up a copy of the Vanguard this morning. But let's go above the nameplate. There's also one story that might interest you. Banks borrowing from CBN rises to 559% to 376.6 billion naira. That's quite a number. So even the banks borrow. And here we're talking about, the need for governments to create more space for, the local industries to be able to access borrowing. But the banks are also borrowing. Lastly, from the front page of the Vanguard this morning, Tinubu promises to uphold media freedom, respect divergent views. There are a host of other stories right beside that one, but I'll leave you to do the review later on when you pick up a copy of the Vanguard. But there's also Mr. and Mrs. You do Mr. and Mrs. later on. It's a Monday morning. Ayo.
Watch. Today is Tuesday. Just say
it's Tuesday.
Daily Trust newspaper has that interesting story that I mentioned, and it's not the first time we're seeing this story or hearing about it. The former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, had talked about this before. But look at the front page of Daily Trust newspaper. That's it right there on the front page. North's out-of-school children population time bomb. That's according to the federal government. Which federal government is saying this? The details you'll find on the inside pages. Look at the riders. 680,000 in Kaduna, over 500,000 in Gombe. Bauchi mobilizing resources for educational projects, according to the governor, Bala Mohammed. 3,963 teachers in public schools fail qualifying exam nationwide. Doesn't this remind you of the actions of Governor El Rufai and Governor Shomole back in the day?
Yeah.
And over 50% of private schools teachers unqualified, according to TRCN. So what are we going to do about it? 50%? Yeah.
There you go.
The reality of this, it will shock you. Go to some schools. Some of these schools that people can afford to take their children to in the name of my children in private schools are WAEC certificate holders. And anyway,
most of them are, individuals who didn't get to study what they would rather study, and then they resort to teaching. They didn't get the jobs that they would rather, do, and then they resort to teaching. And it goes also to, efforts of training and retraining of teachers in public education sector. But this also says that over 50% of private school teachers are unqualified in private sector as well. It's an emergency situation.
What bothers me the most there is that the population of out-of-school children is a time bomb. In other words, it's a bomb waiting to explode. Please, what are we going to do about that? And this will be squarely on the table of the governor of each state. That's the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
And Tribune this morning, and so you see the lead story on the front page here. How presidency brokered truce between Fubara, Wike, Shatima, Baja, Ribadu, Odili in attendance. And then you see the list of the agreement reached at the meeting right there for you. So you can check that out much later. That's Tribune today.
And Business Day has this one: stock investors recap 11.6 trillion naira on Tinubu's reforms. Yeah, reforms is what I'll go with. And you'll see right there, somewhere inside the paper, I know that the stock market is not doing too badly. Yeah. You also have this wage award delay. Withheld salaries worry civil servants.
I know.
Okay, so the federal government had better be speaking up.
It will worry anybody.
What's going on? What's going on? We'll leave it there for Business Day.
Yeah, and ends a look at the dailies here this morning. We're back in just a moment. Stay on with us.
For 10 months, the National Institute for Security Studies brought together security managers from over 35 agencies across Nigeria and 4 other African countries to equip them with skills required for discharging their responsibility of maintaining law and order. Vice President Kashim Shettima is the guest of honor for the graduation ceremony, which is also attended by other top government officials, federal lawmakers, traditional rulers, captains of industries, among others. 86 participants are graduating from the institution.
I'm happy to attest that our graduates have met all the expectations of the course and are leaving the institute better than they came in so many ways. They have become worthy ambassadors of their agencies and countries.
The institution is the training arm of the Department of State Services, and the management is promising to forge a more robust plan to enhance security in the country.
We shall start deploying some of the assets we have or the platforms we produce by ourselves, including unmanned aerial vehicles. We are producing our own weapons, the AK-47 type. By the grace of God, when we reach the destination, we save the country from the pains of the resources being chunked out to buy such weapons.
Nigeria is facing a plethora of security challenges across all the 6 geopolitical zones which have defied solutions over the years. The Vice President believes it's time to explore more options.
Let's improve on the quality of governance. Let's create jobs. Let's give hope to the hopeless. And once we create jobs, all this madness of insecurity will disappear. So there has to be a kinetic and non-kinetic solution to all the problems, be it the IPOP agitations in the southeast, be it the challenges in the south-south, be it Boko Haram or rural banditry in the north, east, northwest, and the north central.
The event also provides an opportunity to honor some personalities as books published by the Institute are unveiled. Besides acquiring the knowledge and skills with which to tackle the security challenges in their various agencies and countries going forward, participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 16 have also put together a report titled Globalization and Regional Economic Integration, Implications for Sustainable Development in Africa, which they presented to Vice President Shettima on Monday. From the National Institute of Security Studies in Buari, Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Welcome back. Yes, we'll be talking security-related matters this morning, and we're joined by General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff. Good morning, General. Thank you for joining us today on the program.
Morning. Good morning. Great to be here again.
Yeah, thank you. So let me start this way. I mean, time and again, people see us wear this emblem. We'll get to the airport, they ask us questions, and no matter how some of us explain to the people there, they just don't understand why we need to wear some of these. And I hope you can hear us. So perhaps you should start by telling us all and everybody else, is this any significant wearing this for the Army?
On off.
Oh, okay. So we'll try and see if we can correct that in just a moment. So I think we're having some... Okay, General, are you back? Is that connection back now?
Yes, it's a bit low. Yeah, but I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm sure that we're going to try and raise it. So let's go again on that one. I was asking you to tell us the significance. I mean, how the military, the Army feels when citizens put on this emblem, because we explain as much as possible when we get to the airports, we seem to bypass. So some may stop us on the road. So could you talk to us about that, though?
I seem to have some echo. Your voice gets to bounce back. I heard you talking about the emblem and the significance of the Remembrance Day emblem. Yeah, I mean, as humans, we always want to be remembered for something and appreciated. I think this is just a date that will be set aside to appreciate those that have given their lives for the good of the country, for the survival of Nigeria. Is extremely significant. And why we need that is we want to have the awareness for Nigerians to take ownership of the country, to understand that we are in this together and that we need the support of the citizens to not to demoralize the troops, but to try and encourage them. And when the troops see that the citizens are warm, are receptive, appreciative commend them for the efforts they are making, even when they make mistakes. Mistakes are being brought out. We appreciate when there are critics, and constructive criticism is very good because it makes us do better. It keeps us in check. But the significance is that Nigerians have not forgotten those heroes that have given their lives. We have those that are alive that are injured. Some have been maimed for life, amputated hands, amputated legs. Then the family members that have lost those breadwinners that have gone, their brothers, uncles, cousins, aunties, and all, will always appreciate the fact that they have not been forgotten and their efforts have been appreciated.
About I know that you have spoken in some area, some forum, where you spoke about how the commentary that came through from Nigerians about the Tunumbiri bombing somewhat affected the army. But several others thought they were pointing those things out to ensure that, it doesn't happen again and the right things are done. So if you speak about that, did it really affect the morale of the troops? And could you also tell us if there's an update on the investigation of the matter?
Thank you very much. We understand that generally everybody feels bad. We actually feel bad also. Anytime we have mistakes, we take ownership, and we feel extremely very bad about it, especially even when we lose our own troops in war. We just want Nigerians to understand that the incident was never deliberate. We'll never deliberately target our citizens. Our mandate is to protect Nigerians, innocent Nigerians, and we'll continue to do that. And we have continued to do that. It's unfortunate that out of the 99 successes we had, this one that we had has given us a lot of negative responses. But we know Nigerians want success, and we are succeeding. The federal government has set up a committee that will look into it. We don't want to make comments about what has happened, but we know at the end of it, the truth will come out, and then everybody will really understand that it was definitely a mistake. That same incident, there were a lot of activities that were ongoing within that general area, and we were on because a few years before then, some troops were killed. And so we're actually monitoring the movement around that area. And unfortunately, this other activity happened 10 p.m. at night, which was very strange. But like I said, mistakes were made. We'll make amends. Just for Nigerians to understand, the armed forces of Nigeria is solidly behind the federal government, solidly behind Nigeria. Our mandate is to defend democracy, and we'll continue to do that. So nobody should have any fear. We'll take amends after the committee has come up. We'll take correction. Anybody that is found to be culpable will face the music. But like I said, we should not, by our actions, inactions, or utterances, demoralize our troops. These guys stay awake so that we can sleep. I see a lot of people talking. It is easier for you to sit back and say they made a mistake, they're not doing well, and this. What is the option? If they pull out from these locations, what happens? We will not even have a country. So for them to have stayed, slept in the darkness, in the sun, in the rainfall, in dust, and everything, just to ensure that me and you are able to sleep, wake up, go to our offices, and do our normal routine, I think we should give them some accolade and some respect. So we just want Nigerians to understand that, yes, mistakes have been made because we're human beings, but we'll never be deliberate. That I can assure you.
General, we don't want you to strain your hand, so don't worry, you could drop it. If the earpiece drops, we'll put it back in so that you'll be comfortable with it. So what should Nigerians expect about this investigation? Is all of it going to be made public? When should we expect some feedback from this investigation?
Very well. It's going to be made public. The federal government is already in charge. The federal government is working on it. I'm sure the announcement will come out very soon, and then they will hit the ground running. Like I said, we are sincere, we're fair, we're impartial. We want to know what really happened. We equally want to know what actually happened so that we can make amends. I can assure you that nothing will be thrown under the carpet.
All right, General. We'll just listen to this little piece right here, but we'll come back and bring up some more matters with you in just a moment.
In order for the Nigerian Army to achieve its goals and missions, we must have the ability to envision, anticipate, and maintain flexibility in the face of these diverse undefined contemporary security environment. Our peculiar security situation requires that, as an army, we continue to review our strategies as well as tactics, techniques, and procedures in our search for lasting solutions to our challenges. In crafting my command philosophy, I, among others, took cognizance of the current and emerging security environments, steps that must be taken to achieve our goals, and the importance of jointness in operational planning. In the recent past, the Nigerian Army has witnessed changes in its structure, doctrine, welfare, and logistic support. These changes were aimed at repositioning the Nigerian Army to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria. Accordingly, the Nigerian Army is constantly being repositioned by successive administrations to conduct protracted land operations independently or jointly with other services and security agencies, employing diverse capabilities in any terrain within and outside Nigeria. The recent surge in the number of terrorists surrendering is a testament to the effectiveness of this offensive concept. Despite the recent gains and successes in operations, the security landscape in Nigeria is still characterized by threats that are complex, multifaceted, and unpredictable, with blurred boundaries between external and internal risk factors. The Northeast, Northwest, and North Central zones are still characterized by pockets of terrorism, insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping. The secessionists, kidnapping, and criminality threats in the Southeast, militancy in the South-South, and banditry in the Southwest regions, among other threats, persist in isolated or spotted distributions. The activities of cultists and porous borders across the country also paved illicit cross-border activities which have compounded our security challenges and threatened our coexistence as a nation. The containment and reduction in the impact of these threats is a testament to the armed forces of Nigeria's resolve to evolve its approach as part of the whole of society effort to addressing the threats.
Well, we still have with us the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. General, it's really good to see you with us this morning. I know that you've had quite a number of engagements with the National Assembly. You appeared before them on a number of occasions. One of them also has to do with budgets and asking for more funds to support the work of the Nigerian military. I'm looking at all of the challenges that we're currently facing from the east to the west, from north to south. Are you able to measure in concrete terms, whether or not we're making progress on any of the fronts of the wars that we're currently fighting?
Yeah, thank you very much. We are actually making progress. It's going to be slow. It's going to be slow because we are dealing with people that are benefiting immensely from what they are doing. Most of it is economic. When the Boko Haram incident started, it was ideological. But now that we've defeated them, we've pushed them down so much, it is economic. And because we have a group of Nigerians that patronize these individuals because they make so much money, and you can see the process they make from kidnappings, from abductions, and from all this stuff. So, and I always said that Nigerians must take ownership of our challenges. It is only when we do that together we can win this battle. Let those trading with them, supporting them, the logisticians as we call them, let them stop. We have a lot of individuals that form them, that give them this. Those are aspects that we need to be able to checkmate. The kinetic effort is ongoing. We're doing so much and we're achieving a lot of success. Just a few days ago, we've taken out a lot of them. These things don't actually come out. And we don't want to just run to the media as if we are making, what happened? We're just trying to make, we're not trying to push these efforts to make it look as if we are campaigning. It's not a campaign. This is a military campaign that we're doing. And it is important for Nigerians to take ownership of it. We're succeeding and we'll continue to do better. We're hopeful that the budget, when released, when we get the funds, we'll be able to get the much needed equipment that we need. We're leveraging a lot on technology. The land mass is vast. We have a lot of forests that we need to cover. We believe that with technology, it will actually will be very precise. And this will assist us in avoiding such errors that happen in Kaduna.
Well, I do know that in one of the engagements, we heard that it might take another, 3 decades or so before we eventually are able to clear out some of the situations that we've seen in the north, especially northeast and also northwest. How long are you projecting that, all of the territories that had been taken before now by either, kidnappers or another, branch of terrorists, how long do you think it will be before all of these territories are back fully under Nigerian control?
Sooner than later. It depends on what we do as a nation. If we work together as a team, every Nigerian playing his role together to support the military and the federal government, I think we will succeed. A lot of the equipment that we require, we don't produce them, so we have to buy, and we buy them in hard currency. So it's not even easy to get by. Now we have the Israeli, the Hamas crisis. We have the Ukraine, the Russian crisis. All those ones are taking tolls because to even get these equipment, it's not easy. So what we're saying is we must develop our own industrial complex. And it is when we do that, then we produce what we need. And it will save us foreign exchange that has been very difficult to come by. But I can assure you that sooner rather than later, we'll get this. If we continue the pressure, I'm sure we'll succeed.
I know that the Chief of Defense, at the ministry, not the ministry now, but your role will be to coordinate all the other service chiefs so that you're able to get maximum results. But oftentimes, at least before now, there had been cases where it would seem that the different services were working in silos. I do also know that when the president came on, one of the priority areas was also the Niger Delta. And only recently, just yesterday, while speaking with inaugurating the board of the NNPCL, he did say that the Niger Delta has to be treated like the goose that lays the golden egg. I do not know what that means for you, but before now, the Nigerian military had the mandate of the president to ensure that assets are protected there. The people, too, are also protected as well, and that the country is able to make what it can from the resources in the Niger Delta. What would you say the biggest challenge of the military has been working with those who have also been given contracts to be able to, ensure that we're able to make the most of our crude oil production, looking at the fact that now we've been told that crude oil production figures are dropping?
Well, I can tell you, I think the crude oil production is increasing rather than dropping. The challenges in Niger Delta have been there for a very, very long time, and it needs a holistic approach. But what I need to tell you is that the armed forces is one. Jointness is what we do now. And with the service chiefs, there is no rivalry within us. We discuss almost on daily basis on issues on the ground. There are thousands of operations ongoing as we speak. We cannot be directly involved because we have commanders down to the tactical levels. So what we do is that we delegate authority down to service commanders, to the general officers commanding or theater commanders or force commanders, to the general officers commanding, to the brigade commanders, to the commanding officers, to the company commanders, to the platoon commander, to the section commander. So you can see that chain that goes round. People have the impression that at the top here we say, no, all we give is that we give them direction, mission statement, what for them to achieve, and then they move towards that. We continue to put a lot of efforts in the South Side to ensure that we we deal with this issue of illegal bunkering and pipeline vandalization and all this. Apart from the environmental challenges that it creates, we're losing so much, and we need all the funds we can get as a country so that we can move forward. So our attention is there, and we're doing very well. We don't understand that the Niger Delta, especially the waterfront, the water body is massive. It's not a place that you just walk and arrest everybody. And what we are doing is that we're having challenges, again, with a lot of the communities. Some communities even provide protection to these individuals that do this. On daily basis, we destroy illegal oil refineries. As we are doing that, you are turning around, they are fixing them back. They've developed the capacity to develop them, to fix them back at a very, very short distance. We have seen situations where 8, 7, 5, 6 kilometers away from pipelines, broken, done perfectly, connected to individual houses, into their compounds, and they are moving these things out. We cannot be everywhere. If Nigerians report these issues to us, we will be able to address them. So that's why it's important for all of us together.
Okay, pardon me to jump in.
Security is our responsibility.
You know, but I'm sure you might have also heard some of the accusations against some of your men who, I mean, we hear lots of complaints that most times they struggle to be posted to the region. And when they're posted after a short while, their life changes. In other words, they are involved in this vandalism. Do you get any such reports? What are you doing about that?
Well, I mean, we get such reports, but again, you know, sometimes our postings are based on performance. And when we put with our commanders that have done remarkably well, and we want them to continue to do well. We've in the past posted some people and they didn't do well, and we change them quickly. But what I can tell you is that we monitor what our commanders are doing, what our officers and soldiers are doing. Anyone that we find that is doing anything illegal, we address that as quickly as possible. The private security companies are working. We are fine-tuning their mode of operation such that it will be very, very effective. And I can guarantee you that anybody that is found to be doing anything illegal, especially a member of the armed forces, we will take adequate action against that individual. That we will do, and we'll continue to do that. And that's why I say all the operations we have established standing court martials. We jail personnel when they commit offenses, and I can, for free, probably visit a lot of the prisons around the country. We do not hide anybody who is a criminal. We have zero tolerance for criminality.
Since we're still on the matter of, crude oil theft and the fight against it, I'd like you to speak to the vessel, the case of the vessel that was arrested in Ondo State recently. There was a face-off between men of the naval forces and Tantita Security Services, with Tantita accusing naval officers of being complicit in the theft of the crude oil that was aboard the vessel. And this is not the first time that Tantita is making this accusation. What would be the explanation of the armed forces over this continuing accusation?
That incident, the Tantita guys were with the army chaps. It was a situation where they saw a ship on the high sea and they moved in there, not knowing that the Navy had already arrested that ship. And so in their own interpretation, they thought, but because they were with the army chaps, we knew that they were operating on the. And then when they confirmed, they verified that it was already an arrested ship. Everything went off. I just want people to understand that we must work as a team. Tantita was engaged by the NMPC to be able to provide additional information to the security forces. We do not have eyes everywhere. And by nature of the fact is, most of the members of the Tantita were people who have operated within the general area. They are locals within the general area. So they understand the place, they understand the waterways. There are areas that they know that we don't know. And so they provide those areas. And like I tell you, most of the areas where we have challenges of are the abandoned oil wellheads. And we have consistently requested that those wellheads should be permanently blocked. If we block them completely, people will not have where to go and fetch or illegally draw out food from there. And so that's why we're appealing. The cameras we have on ground can give us the frontage. The back is what we need to do, so that, because they are taking those areas, and we have thousands of wellheads scattered all over the swamps. we cannot cover those, but we need these security guys to be able to tell us these locations. I know because of the nature of the terrain, there are some areas, if you don't have flat bottom boats, you cannot get to those locations. So with their presence there, we're working together. So we're fine-tuning this operation so that we let them understand that they have a role to play, and then the armed forces has a role to play. But I can tell you, we don't have these issues on ground. We'll continue to work, and it will continue to get better.
General Musa, permit me to revisit the matter of Tudunbiri with a view to, demanding more transparency of past accidental bombings. Yes, the governor of Kaduna State has assured us that he has had continued engagement with the armed forces, and he's promising that this time around that, the investigation will be carried out and will be made public. Would you provide assurances in that regard as well, that investigations into past accidental bombings will be made public such that, the army would rebuild confidence with the population that has been affected in past accidental bombings, and for Tudunbiri community as well?
Yeah, very well. I can tell you most of the communities know and understand that it is in the quest to get the terrorists that these mistakes were made. Driving in the forest while we move around on patrols, we get a lot of support from the communities. You see them appreciating what we're doing. Most times some mistakes are made. Most of the people that want to harp on the errors rather than the successes are people with their own intent. We don't know what the intents are, but I can guarantee that we have succeeded 80% of what we're doing. Mistakes will definitely be there, but we will avoid them. We are fine-tuning there, and we're waiting for the results for the committee to finish. Once they bring up, we'll look at what were the areas that we need to also fine-tune. Like I said, as long as you are alive, you keep on learning, you keep on improving. It is not only in Nigeria. I'm sure you have been watching other current military operations, crises all over the world. You can see that these mistakes happen. It is not only for us alone. Besides, we don't produce most of the items that we need. Sometimes weather, you could take all the coordinates and do what you're supposed to do. These things happen. It's highly regrettable. We understand that Nigerians are aggrieved, but I can assure them, let them know that and understand that their armed forces are there doing their job just to ensure that Nigeria moves forward, and will continue to do that.
Pardon me to butt in. Will the outcome of past investigations into past accidental bombings be made public, as well as that of Tudunbiri?
Yeah, well, I really can't say much about that. All I know is that we, on our own, we take our own, we have our own orderly room procedure that we do. We take action, we take corrections, we adjust our SOPs on how we conduct operation, and that's why you see that it keeps on getting better. And punishments are meted, as important as it is. But again, it should be corrective. The aspect of even taking people to prison for whatever it is they've done, it should be corrective. It is not the aspect. These guys have sacrificed so much, and they did not, and they will never, ever intentionally want to kill innocent civilians. And let me make this clear. The terrorists have understood that we have, challenges while trying to go after them. So what do? Human shields. They go into communities, mix up with the communities, and this has added into prolonging the operation we're doing. On several occasions in the Northeast, North Central, Northwest, we have called off strikes of very important criminals that we wanted to get because they embedded themselves within the civilian community. And once we're able to identify that as a civilian community, we call off that strike. And that's one of the reasons why it's prolonging the whole operation. But like I said, this one was a big mistake. We were on the heat of these individuals, and suddenly these other innocent people came across, operating, moving just like the way those other guys were. And there was a mix-up, and this incident happened. But we'll take amends, and then we'll move forward.
Gratifying, General, and it cannot be any easier, particularly on your troops. We'll come back to that shortly. But you've also been quoted as talking about some of the frustrations that the army, the military generally, is having, especially in maintaining the peace in the southeast, quoting some Nigerian outside the shores of the nation, frustrating the efforts of the army. Can you talk to us about that? What are the inhibitions that are coming? What partnership are you getting from the people, or particularly even from the state governments and leaders of thoughts in the southeast?
Yeah, so thank you very much. In the southeast, we're getting a lot of support from the people, from the from the government especially. What we are calling, like I mentioned the other day about Samuel Ekpa, him sitting in Finland and causing confusion in Nigeria is unacceptable. The Finnish government must stop him from doing, if they say he's their citizen, he's affecting another sovereign nation. And for whatever reason, they should call him to order, because I know they will not take it if it was the other way around. He was in Nigeria and causing problem in Finland. So I think it's very, very critical. Again, we still have reports of individuals that covertly support this one, contribute money to them, encourage them, give them logistics and leadership. We want to call on them that the armed forces and other security agencies are going both overtly and covertly. Anybody that is found to be supporting them will be treated as one of them. And it is important. What we need is, for those, a lot of them are just a bunch of individuals that are misled. There is nothing like secessionist tendency. A lot of them are into looking for money, they're into kidnapping, ritual killings. We have seen videos of what they do to humans. They kidnap people, cut their heads, cut their hands, and for whatever reason, I think that is very barbaric. That is evil. Nobody should support such a thing. We should all put hands together with the state government, with the federal government, to move this country forward. We have a lot of other challenges that are being tackled. We shouldn't allow some individuals to drag us back. We should learn to move forward as Nigerians. One nation, one destiny.
Perhaps the challenge there, General, is in the communication, what we are telling our nationals. I mean, for some people to be supporting secessionist tendencies, as you have said, against the unity of the country, I think that's very concerning. But I'd like you to speak, if you want, you may speak to that one, but I'm very concerned about the welfare of your men spread all over the nation. There are those who believe that the military has been spread so thin and consequently unable to really do some of the primary functions for which it is called according to the Constitution. What are the challenges that you are aware that your men are having in terms of their welfare, so that they can give their hearts and soul to the services that they have to offer to Nigeria?
Okay. If you look at the Constitution, our primary responsibility is the territorial integrity. But if you look at the territorial integrity, it is implied that charity begins at home. We cannot be protecting the territory and the home front is on fire and then sit back and watch. And our training is such that we train even on police duties. So when people tell us it is not our responsibility, yes, it's not our primary responsibility, but we have a responsibility to ensure that both within and outside, Nigerians are protected. And that's exactly what we're doing. Now, I mentioned the other time the issue of welfare. Over the past few, we have, on average, the armed forces recruit over 15,000 personnel, both officers and soldiers, into the system. We are not building new barracks. We know efforts we have, the budget has captured some of it. We need to do more. We need to renovate the old ones because they've been there for ages, so that we can fix them. My dream is for every officer and soldier to have an accommodation that he can look up and say, look, this is my own, this is my barracks. We trained a lot because of the operations we're conducting. A lot of the officers and soldiers are out there in the field. If today all these operations are over and we have to go back to the barracks, there won't be enough barracks for us. The issue of ration cash allowance where we feed, like I've informed you, anytime we're on operations, I, as a general, I'm being fed on 1,200 per day with my soldiers. From the first general to the last soldier, the same amount. That's what we manage with. My soldier collects at least less than 50,000 with salary a month. We all know the situations on ground. My appeal is for them to have salaries that, is worth it for the work they're doing. We deserve to have that so that they can encourage them to want to do more. We have a lot of them that have been injured, families separated for a very long time. These are aspects that we think, the moral aspect of it, that will actually ginger the troops to want to do more. And especially on the issue of Nigerians, also encouraging the men. We have seen other countries when military men come into airports, how they are being applauded. They get first-class treatment wherever they go to. When they go to buy things, they get rebate. We don't get all those things in Nigeria, and yet we're doing such services. We're not saying that everybody should give us everything that we need, but I think we should be considered, and the troops deserve commendation. I have told you as a commander, my greatest pain is when I have to face the family of my either officer or soldier to tell them they lost their breadwinner. It is painful. You go back with nightmares when you close your eyes. Nigerians should understand that these people have their families all over. Just the way we're enjoying with our... Now it's holiday period. A lot of people are on holidays, have traveled abroad. We don't have that luxury. Most times you don't get to see your family all over this period. These are sacrifices they make. And I think we should look at aspects of trying to commend them. On medical aspects, on the treatment, we have to get prosthetics for those of them that went through IEDs. If you see the devastating effects of IEDs on troops, legs amputated, arms amputated, so many injuries being faced. And so we're putting well. And I think the armed forces deserve some level of commendation. But like I said, President Tinubu has actually done so much so far. He's really, really concerned. He has told us his mandate is for us to restore peace. We must operate jointly, which we're doing. And he has promised he's going to approve funding, enough funding for us to be able to get the equipment that we need. And I can guarantee Nigerians, the more we get, the more we perform. With the little we don't have, we're even still doing very well. I'm happy that Nigerians, we have companies, civilian companies that have also started producing made in Nigeria equipment. That's what we need. I think that's the way forward. Other companies are also coming in to partner with DICON. We must produce what we need in order to enjoy and be able to have a very professional armed forces that will perform its task remarkably.
Well, General, there are so many issues to touch on, but unfortunately we are out of time. So let me just put in this one. If you can respond in a very short time. I mean, clearly, 1,200 per day is not right. So certainly a lot that has to change. And because, I mean, we do appreciate what the army does for the country because we don't have another army. We have to do what we can. We'd like to see those images, too, of Nigerian army coming into the plane, people who stand and salute them. But, General, are you doing anything to improve this civilian-military relations? Because there are some images that keep circulating on social media where you see some of your men in uniform boasting that they could deal with civilians, and then you go out on the road, you see them brutalizing civilians. Those are things that will stand against improving relations between civilians and the military. But as much as people want to reach out, when they see those kind of narratives, they're forced to pull back. So do you have conversations with your men to do something to ensure that they improve so that we can even volunteer information above all else?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of improvement. I mean, in the past, I can tell you that most of the videos sometimes we get to see are being recycled. For whatever reason, individuals just want to make it look as if things are not improving, but I can guarantee you that we're doing extremely very well. We have, in our training now, we've emphasized on the issue of human rights, how to deal with civilians in every conflict. You know, now, because it is asymmetric warfare, it is people-oriented. So that's why we have more interaction with the people. And then, nature of things, we are treating our troops for post-traumatic stress disorder. We have troops that have been out there for a number of years out. You know how it is. In America, we've seen how they deal with PTSD. Sometimes somebody wakes up and shoots people just like that. But we don't have that here. To tell you that our training has improved remarkably. We'll continue to do more. We appeal to Nigerians, please, if you see any of our men doing anything illegal, not behaving well, don't hesitate. Report back to us. We'll take action. That I guarantee you. We have zero tolerance to indiscipline, and we'll continue to do that. Like I said, the war has it has been on for a while. Normally, people have different levels of reacting to issues on ground. And so we do that. Once we induct them in, before they go in, they are counseled. When they finish, we take them back to Jaji. We counsel them before sending them back to their families. Because sometimes that you are out there and you have seen what it is to fight wars. You have lost colleagues. You have seen blood and all this. It has an effect on individuals. And that's why people should have some level of understanding that some of these guys have come out where they survived perilous occasions and they're just trying to feed back into the community. So we're doing so much, both at the theater, out of the theater, and we'll continue to monitor them to ensure that they behave well. Nigerians appreciate what they're doing. Like I tell you, we drive around, we see kids come around and saying, thank you, God bless you. God. Consistently, people call us and just pray for us to continue to do what we're doing. We know there are some people that probably might not, for one reason or the other, are not happy that the armed forces is being appreciated. But I think for the good of our country, we should not demoralize our troops. We should all put hands together to ensure that we encourage them. Because the more they succeed, the more peace we enjoy in the country.
All right, General Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, we do thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. We thank you for the work you're doing to the country. And we also wish you and your men, we hope you all have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
All right, thank you. Well, back in just a moment. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Richard Mwakocha joins us next. He's an associate professor of public law, Rivers State University, to take us through some of the agreements that were reached yesterday on the resolution of this political impasse in Rivers State. Good morning, Prof, and thank you for joining us on the program this morning. All right, so...
Good morning, Chamberlain, and good morning.
Thank you. Yesterday, they had a meeting. The president was in attendance and several other key actors and players, stakeholders, if I will, in that Rivers State matter. And they came up with what they tagged as directives for the resolution of the political impasse in Rivers State. All matters instituted in the courts by the governor of Rivers State, Sir Fubara, and his team in respect of the political crisis in the Rivers State shall be withdrawn immediately. That was in caps. All impeachment proceedings initiated against the governor of Rivers State by the Rivers State House of Assembly should be dropped immediately. The leadership of the Rivers State House of Assembly, as led by Right Honorable Martin Ameole, shall be recognized alongside the 27 members who resigned from the PDP and several others. You've seen this agreement, I believe, also signed here by those players who were present. And so there are legal questions that were raised by several persons, and that's why we have you here to help us shed light on these matters at no heat. So tell us, from what you've seen on this, you think this is going to be resolved this way?
Well, yes, if parties who have a dispute agree on some terms to resolve the dispute remains dissolved between them. So, between the two of them, as far as they're concerned, the matter is resolved between them. What may linger is the possibility of legal implications of have been taken. That would be a different matter. But as the parties, if they agree to the on the terms they have reached, fine. Between them, the conflict is resolved.
So the thing now is this, for instance, the State House of Assembly, there was an incident that occurred there, not the demolition now. So does that mean that the police will simply forget about whatever transpired? Even if anybody had broken the law, they'll look the other way. No one will be charged, nothing will be done whatsoever, because if they say they resolve this matter, so shall it be.
That's part of what I talked of development have taken place, possible legal implications, developments. Yes, it will mean that a place, a house, been accepted by both parties. But I kept talking of possible legal implication. It's a national part of that discussion, because if they were not, the issue they have commenced is a constitutional issue which cannot be by agreement. So that remains open. But if they were part of the discussion and they're part of the agreement and they accepted those terms, then it will be taken that they've decided to waive the possible rights that arises for them under the Constitution from the development that took place at the House of Assembly. That is the open question about it. Yeah. But for the parties that have agreed, between the parties that have agreed, they cannot proceed. But third parties who have acquired interest or who have been affected by the actions that took place during the crisis, we reserve the constitutional right to continue with their struggle.
So the part that where it says that the Rivers State House of Assembly shall choose where they want to sit and conduct their legislative business without interference and or hindrance from the executive arm of government. Now, previously, you had this other group who says, well, the court has recognized us as a valid group, and as such, we will play a role as such, and then they went on and passed the budget. Now, they also say the budget will be represented, and then they choose where they sit, and it goes on. So, while assuming the court order subsists and their claims were there as a result, drew life from that court judgment, does this automatically invalidate all of that, or what?
No, certainly. That is part of the challenge. It does not, the agreement between the parties does not supersede existing legal situations. If the parties that went to court have agreed to pull out from the courts and they pull out, then those matters are over. The matters in respect of which they went to court are over. But you know, there are legal implications from actions that have been taken. Unless everybody who can react to it are part of this agreement, they may be able to continue with their reaction. Because the position of the law cannot be negotiated between parties, and an agreement, there cannot be an agreement to supersede the constitutional provisions. So yes, if parties resolve and agree, they may choose where they want, but if you want to redo some of the things that have been done that have constitutional implications, there will be constitutional implications from that action. So some of those actions, that of representing the budget, will raise a legal issue. The budget may have already been implemented. They may have started implementing the budget. That may raise a legal issue. And then recognizing the members who have taken action that in the Constitution amounts to resignation from the House will also raise constitutional issues. And which is why I said a party that is affected, like the party from which they resign, will be able to proceed against them. But between them, those who find matters in court, if they agree and they apply and withdraw those matters, for those particular matters, it's resolved.
Mm. Well, I know that we've invited you not just as a lawyer, but also as one who watches the politics in Rivers State and I guess in the country as well. From your knowledge of what you've seen happen over the past few weeks in Rivers State, do you think that this resolution has come late in the day, or do you think that it's still not beyond repair?
It's a stalemate of some sort. Sorry if I get your question well. If you're asking whether this sets a precedent or whether and resolves issues of similar nature elsewhere, or whether it's a stalemate. If you look at the terms of the resolution, it's more of going back to status quo, before the crisis. So if that qualifies for a resolution, that is fine. But can it be applied to other circumstances? That would be a different question. Because the dynamics of those circumstances and parties involved and their relationships may differ. So it may not be something you can import another place. And again, most importantly, the position of the law is not changed by what parties have discussed.
Well, I guess my question is more about whether or not the horse has since bolted and left the stable. Do you think that the president's attempt to rein back this horse is going to be successful when you say, oh, the commissioners that resigned, we thought they willingly resigned from the cabinet, should be represented at the assembly. Those who have defected should be recognized, etc. Do you think that this would really, really work? I mean, where trust has been broken?
It's another major challenge. You had a major crisis in which steps were taken by parties against each other. That's why I say it's like a return to status quo. If those terms hold water and parties have agreed and they decide to do so, what it means is that the governor is not going to be in charge of the government because whatever disaffections, whatever led to the disaffections that developed between the parties to this crisis, cannot be cancelled. So trust will have been affected. Is the governor going to trust that those officers are going to be answerable to him, or that they are going to be reporting to their benefactor or those who have insisted they should remain in that place? The tone of the agreement that we have seen, the resolutions that we have seen, indicates that a party has taken full control of the state, and the other party has agreed to mute its reaction and to do nothing about it. Definitely, trust has been broken between them. And then for that of the members of the House of Assembly, as I said earlier, there is a question whether you can negotiate that by a discussion. The Constitution has already taken effect.
All right,
Professor
Richard Nwokocha, we do appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're back in a moment. Don't go away. Back. Yes, indeed. Yes, he's here with us, but not with this uniform. If we're expecting to see that same uniform, no, that's not what we have here today. Mr. Shema Bafa is here with us as his Deputy Commandant General, NSCDC. But first of all, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
And good to see you again after several years.
Yes, sir.
But now, you're not with the uniform, which is what we did ask. So tell us, why?
Because I'm retired.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now is retired Deputy Commandant General, NSCDC.
Yes, sir.
So what happened? I mean, how come the promotion came after retirement? Is that the decoration? What's the dynamics?
That's the act of God.
God does work in mysterious ways then, that's
Simple.
they say, right?
Yeah.
Why did they wait this long to do that?
Huh? I mean, got to explain that.
You don't want to tell us one now, then your Oga at the top. But I'm sure since that incident, you have received quite a lot of, I don't know how it was like for you after that interview. Did you grant any interviews after that?
No. No direct interview, except I made arrest and I paraded or give information about the arrest.
So you became, will I say, afraid of, were you afraid of the press, or were you did you hold us in suspicion after that particular interview?
No. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with the press. What happened came the way it came, and so that one didn't really stop my work. I still continue with my work.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was the reaction for you at work? And much after, what was the trajectory like for you?
Yeah, beautiful. People, the name became the great slogans globally. Oga the top, Oga the top. But all the same, it has, to me, it has not impacted my life negatively, no doubt about it. Though from some quarters, they projected it negatively. Insultive, but all the same. Yes, one of my cousins, after the program, said, "Brother," I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you like national recognition?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Be ready for national insult, national embarrassment, and whatsoever." I said, "Okay, well, if that is it, okay, no problem." So,
yeah, that's true. With recognition also comes criticisms, and that's what happens. But right now, well, at least for a few moments before you retired, you were the original Oga at the top. How did that feel? I mean, how did that feel?
With the Oga at the top?
Yes. I mean, ascending the ranks, through the NSCDC.
Oh, beautiful. Something is, the rank don't just come like that. It has its factors, hard-working, commitment, yes, to duty. Yes, and I believe that's what happened. And the president magnanimously approved. Yes, my Minister of Interior as well. Yes, and my now the Oga at the top, my Commandant General. Yes, the trios. I believe they agreed to say, let him go home with this rank even after retirement.
But
yes.
How about your office? How did they respond to you after that interview?
Oh, beautiful. My office was so, how do I, there is this dynamics in every organization, because every organization has its ethics and values. Yes, the truth is, many did not really react negatively. They say, this man is more like a David in the Bible who was in the bush pursuing vandals at the pipeline. Why must he be the one to come here to tell the website or whatever it is? It was, they didn't react negatively to me, no doubt about that. They didn't react negatively.
You know, because at that time, I had reached out to the CG about that before that, and he said, no, that, he recommended you, that we should reach out to you, that you are capable and that you've done interviews before, that there's no problem whatsoever. He says, of course, why not? Until then we had an interview, so I thought he might be angry in terms of what happened, but he didn't react negatively, did he?
Yeah. No, there was no negative reaction from him. I learned even there was a group of people that came to ask from him that they felt embarrassed about the discussion at the channels. And he told them, it's not all the time that the best student wins a quiz. Yes, that man you see is still one of my best commandants in the organization. So, and that is just the truth.
So, but did you after that interview, did you then pay specific attention to the website?
And why not? Not that I didn't really know it that time, but then I had a lot of doubt because there is this part of the rules. They might say you are giving unauthorized information, and you could be dismissed with that. Yes. So that's what I was battling with in my mind that day, not that I didn't know it.
Maybe you often look, okay, briefer men, if they're going to go out and talk to the media, are they allowed to speak in this way? Did anything of the sort happen?
No, they do. But then I was not informed. Only I was just told to come to the press to attend to you that time. Mm-hmm. So, in fact, I even said I was not having any statistics, in case I would need to prove what is happening with statistics. So, but it ended the way it ended.
Well, this is unusual. I mean, normally interviewers ask, the interviewers questions, but I was just wondering, do you have any questions for us?
For you?
Yes.
Oh, no way. I don't really. I believe I'm here this morning just to play with my friends, my big friends. Yes, no doubt about it. Yes, but one thing is this. Let me chip in this. In relationship with any organization, forthwith, if they are sending anybody, let the person be the person in charge of where you are going to ask questions. What I want to say is, I shouldn't be the one to tell you website when you already asked in the beginning of the interview. I told you I'm in operation, and you have been seeing me pursuing the vandals on the pipeline in Lagos. Yes, it should be somebody from headquarters in administration that should be asked such questions.
We should have been held accountable for the issues.
Because even the person should be able to tell you more about the job racketeering and whatever. Yes. So, like David in the wilderness, running after the sheep, I was pursuing the vandals. So, yes, initially when you were asking that time, this was in the information, I said, I wasn't aware. And your response was, are you saying the National Assembly members are telling lies? That was your question to me again. I said, well, I'm not saying anybody is telling lies. Yes, but I will tell you as much as I know. And yes. So if all my questions had gone through operation that day, I believe it would be more smoother and beautiful.
So that's the advice that you have for organizations, to always make sure that they send the people who are responsible for certain areas to be able to take questions from the press. I'm also very curious about that interview, initially, I imagine that you might not have been able to laugh over it. I don't know how it went for you, but I imagine that now, many years after, are you able to watch it and laugh?
Why not? I watch it and I laugh. Just as many of us will watch what we did during our childhood and laugh over it.
Did you say, child? Let me be this.
Sure. Yeah. Someone still sent it to me on my WhatsApp yesterday. I watched and I was just laughing. Yeah.
We've got our colleagues in Lagos. They've got questions for you. Go ahead, guys.
Well, it's cheery to note that, it's something that we can now laugh over now. Mr. Bafai, it's good to see you again, by the way. And you know what they say about no publicity being negative publicity. After all, today you'll probably be known more as Oga at the top. But I'd like to ask, at that time, not long afterwards, you were replaced, by another commandant in Lagos. Even though you have said that, you didn't get any feedback, any negative feedback, after that interview. Was that replacement as a result of the interview that you granted?
It was.
Okay, so did it come with any backlash from the home front? Was it a setback for you, so to speak?
Not really.
Why would you?
Immediately I was moved from Lagos. I was taken to Oyo command.
Okay, so how did you handle it?
So, I was in Oyo for 1 year before I was moved to another command again.
Okay, so how did you handle it personally?
Myself?
Yes, the replacement.
It's a normal thing. You are in a federal government job, and definitely they can move you anytime.
Okay, perhaps we should.
I didn't look at it to mean anything.
All right, Mr. Bafai, it's good to see you again. It's been about 10 years now. Since you looked at it and laughed yesterday, let's laugh with you this time around. Let's have a quick laugh with you.
Website of the NSCDC.
The website of NSCDC. Yeah. Yes, will be I cannot categorically tell you one now, because the one that the one we are going to make use of, I'm not the one that is going to create it.
You see, the question is, what is your website?
Wait.
Okay.
The one that we are going to make use of is going to be made known by my Oga at the top. Yes. I can't announce one now, and my Oga says it's another one.
The NSCDC has multiple websites?
This is something we cannot have multiple websites, but the one that we...
not the one for employment.
No, it's not the one for employment.
Not the one for employment.
What is your website now? The one you use normally, your official website.
If you want to know about the NSCDC, what website do you go to?
Okay, if we want to know about NSCDC, as of now.
Exactly.
Okay, www.nscdc.
Yes.
Yes. So, that's all.
There were so many insignias that people made, T-shirts and all of those things. I wonder, do you think you should arrest those people who made those T-shirts and didn't give you royalties for them?
Well, I don't need to. I forgive them.
One of the things that gets to me in that, public officers have to go through these kinds of things from time to time, and the backlash is usually on their families, their relatives, and all those things.
Yes, exactly.
How did any of those affect your close, your immediate family, your wife, your children, and perhaps even some other people close to you?
I would rather say my son, sometimes when he comes back from school, will say, Daddy, my classmates are calling me Oga the top. Well, that was all, and it's part of it. Yeah, it's not a crime. I've not committed any crime. Yeah, so you go through such, and once you come out of it, life continues. Yes.
Just one last thing from me here. Even though you kind of spaded it earlier, it also goes to the challenge that some other public servants, such as yourself, back in time, still have. Some are unable to engage with the media. And these things are going to come from time to time because part of the appointment letter would usually say any other duty that may be assigned. And some of those things they are ill prepared for. What would be your recommendation to those who are seemingly ill prepared for certain things, as you were at that time, perhaps, and that they have to take on simply because they have to? And as you said, their guy at the top asked them to come and do it.
Well, I have no advice because it's just as you have rightly said, when you are given a position and you say and any other activities. So any other activities could mean any other activities. So and you're only to pray. God help you in whichever activity assigned to you apart from your main duties.
So, I mean, it's good to see that so far, everything went so good. But how did you deal with, because there was a lot of negative information too that came through, whether they had been sacked and things like that. That didn't affect you or your members?
Nothing like that. Nothing happened. Yes, yeah. Okay. Because immediately after the interview and I was changed, my principal, that is my Commandant General, just asked me to rest. So I was at home for 1 month resting. Then before they now moved me to Oyo State Command.
Did it affect you psychologically?
Definitely, it has to. Yeah, because I've never gone through such in life. But with the word of that, my cousin, I told you, but I know you have a future. Yes, if you are ready for national recognition, be ready for national embarrassment, harassment, insult, and whatsoever. I said, okay, is that so? Fine.
We also got some feedback as well. Some of them were positive, some of them were negative. Some people accused us of trying to finish your career. Some people so I guess, I don't know if in any way you have also taken a second look at social media, because one of the reasons why that interview went viral was as a result of social media.
Exactly.
Do you have any feelings towards the use of social media?
No, at all. We are in the age. So there's no way we can go back to what it was in the 60s, in the 70s. Also, yeah, we are in the age. And so that one makes people to be more careful.
Are you going to be patenting it? Will you be patenting my Oga at the top? Anybody who has to use it henceforth will have to pay you to use it.
My wife, we have the certificate. My wife did it. We have the patent.
She did?
Yeah.
Smart.
That's a wise woman.
That's in my house.
Oh, dear. Yeah. So be careful out there.
The Ministry of Investment and Trade, something like that, did it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we have
so people should be careful out there. So if you haven't done the needful, you know what to do.
So from now, anywhere I hear got it all without permission, Namonio.
So you see,
I like that.
That's a good way to go. A good way to end it.
You'll be sharing royalties with us.
I will.
Thank you for coming in. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
And all the best to you. And so Chairman Baffa, now retired Deputy Commandant General of the NSCDC. And thank you too to the Ministry of Interior and the President. I mean, what a good job. Well done.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's take a look at some feedback coming through here. This one is from, what? Alumni? Somebody's name alumni. Okay. Well, he says, massive respect to Chairman Baffa, vulnerable, truthful, open. In fact, he just admitted that he really didn't know the website that time. He wasn't even sure whether he was authorized to reveal it. Even if he knew it, no wonder he has risen this far.
Well, you also see this one from Festus Akimboyewa, who says, intelligence is the meat and bone of security. All the other security agencies must work closely with the intelligence agencies and use the intelligence they collect to effectively tackle our insecurity. The intelligence agencies, on their part, must provide other security agencies with accurate and actionable intelligence. Nigerians want to see more coordinating joint operations.
Yeah, that's part of what we all want to see, isn't it? Well, there you go. That is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so happy holidays.
Well, thank you indeed. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Koka.
If you're having doubts about that patent, just Google My Oga at the top. One of the first few searches will be a Wikipedia page. Guess the title, My Oga at the top. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Ayo Makinde.